Now, China has warned that peace in Taiwan Strait and independence for the island were mutually exclusive after Beijing carried out military drills for a third straight day. The combat drills saw simulated strikes by fighters and bombers carrying live ammunition. During a third day of the war games around the self-ruled island, China simulated sealing off Taiwan after the United States of America deployed a naval destroyer. In a statement, the U.S. Navy said, and I'm quoting here, "This freedom of navigation operation upheld the rights, freedoms and lawful use of the sea."
The Taiwan question is purely China's internal affair. The One China principle is the widespread consensus of the international community and a basic norm of international relations. Currently, the biggest threat to peace in the Taiwan Strait is Taiwanese independence, separatism, and its connivance with and support from foreign forces.
The United States of America, which had repeatedly called China to show restraint, had sent the guided missile destroyer, the USS Milius, through the contested parts of the South China Sea. The deployment of the US naval destroyer triggered more anger from China. According to the Eastern Theater Command of the People's Liberation Army, the aircraft carrier Shandong also took part in the combat patrols and showed fighters taking off from the deck. Japan's defense ministry also confirmed that Shandong had conducted air operations in waters close to Japan's Okinawa Islands. Meanwhile, senior Chinese and Japanese officials met earlier today to discuss maritime concerns in the East China Sea. Ahead of the talks, the Chinese official said that he was seeking cooperation in the maritime area with Japan and expected an in-depth conversation with his counterparts. The Taiwanese Defense Ministry said that as of mid-Monday morning, it had spotted about 59 military aircraft and 11 ships around Taiwan. Taipei is now on a high alert amid a series of military drills simulating strikes on Taiwan. In a video statement, Taiwanese Defense Ministry condemned the war games as destabilizing and jeopardizing regional security.
With no intention to escalate the situation, the ROC Armed Forces will uphold our sovereignty and maintain our national security in a composed, rational, and thoughtful manner. Meanwhile, our air defense units have remained on high alert. They closely monitor every possible target and react to contingencies accordingly.
China views democratically governed Taiwan as its own territory and has never renounced the use of force to bring the island under Beijing's control. Now, for more on this, we are being joined live by political analyst Ross Feingold from Taipei. Welcome to the broadcast, Ross. The Taiwanese president met with House Speaker Kevin McCarthy despite China warning of a resolute response. Do you think the meeting warranted drills of this scale where the intention only looks to intimidate Taiwan?
Certainly, these military exercises, whether what we're seeing over the past few days or what we saw last August, which was a larger scale, it shows an attempt by the Chinese government and military to intimidate Taiwan. They're trying to convince Taiwan not to have these kinds of meetings with U.S. politicians or politicians from other countries. The reality up to now is these military exercises don't stop the Taiwan government from taking those meetings, whether those meetings occur here in Taiwan with visiting government officials. And we've seen not just parliamentarians, but even ministers. For example, a German minister came to Taiwan recently, and that was the first time in decades. And there have been vice ministers from other European countries. And then, of course, the U.S., it's typically at an even higher level. And that's why we saw the House Speaker meeting with President Tsai when she transited the U.S. So it is very intimidating, and it puts enormous pressure on Taiwan's government and the military because they have to respond accordingly. But at least up to now, as a tactic to stop Taiwan from having these meetings, that is clearly not occurring because these meetings do continue.
Now, how do you see the situation over Taiwan unfolding going forward?
I hesitate to call it an escalation simply because we've seen these exercises before. Again, the scope or the size or the number of aircraft or ships or other types of units from the People's Liberation Army might differ. But we've seen this before. We continue to see it. We'll keep seeing it in the future. And that all just brings us back to the same core issue, which would be what are the government and the people and the military here in Taiwan willing to do to defend their island, and what are key partners of Taiwan willing to do. And those key partners, as I'm sure the audience knows, are going to be the United States and Japan, maybe Australia, possibly European countries. But after President Macron's remarks reported yesterday indicated that France would not want to get involved in a Taiwan conflict. So that obviously caught the attention of a lot of people here. But the first step, of course, is going to be for Taiwan to take the necessary steps to defend itself.